Hi there! I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today I just wanted to sit down and talk about some of my favorite things of 2025. I wanted to talk about things specifically that I feel moved me, bettered me, things that I still think about in some way. So I'm not really going to be talking about consumerism-y things like products, beauty products, TikTok viral things. I'm not really going to be talking about that. Not that kind of favorites video. I'm going to be talking about four main categories. So that's going to be film and TV, music, books, and fitness. So yeah, I feel like there are a lot of good things on this list. A lot of good recs for anyone looking for that. Or just for anyone curious as to what other people enjoyed last year. First thing I want to talk about is music, and I want to mention some things that I haven't mentioned in my videos before because I know I've talked about some of my favorite albums like at the time and like just some of my favorite artists. So the first album I want to talk about is Everybody Scream by Florence and the Machine. Some albums I listen to and I'm like, eh, and then I go back and listen to them again. I have to listen to them a couple of times before I become obsessed. That was not the case with this album. I listened to it, I said, oh my god. This is, and the thing is, like, I felt kind of dumb because I've never really been a huge stan of Florence and the Machine. I've always been like a casual fan. Like, I've always listened to like her more popular releases over the years, but I've never really gone and listened to an album just like front to back, which is like, why? I don't know. But after this, after listening to Everybody Scream, I did go back and listen to a lot of her other albums. I'm still working through some. She has a lot. But yeah, I mean, this is just not theatrical, I guess maybe cinematic. And it very much has that like big Florence and the Machine sound, and I think that really adds to what she's saying. Like when she's singing, she's like, I'll be up there with the men and the 10 of the women and the 100 greatest records of all time, and like the music like is just so big around her. That was a crazy impression. Everybody Scream by Florence and the Machine, one of my favorite albums last year. The next album I want to mention is Can't This Anymore by Role Model, and this was the first album that hooked me last year because it came out really early last year. And Role Model is another person who I wasn't really like a devoted stan of. I had a lot of friends that were before, and I saw him at Coachella back in 2022 because my friend took me to a set, and I was just like, okay, I'll stand here and vibe. I don't really know who this is, but like, sure. Like, it was obviously his breakout with Sally and all that. It's a really beautiful album. Of course, it talks about his breakup, which is really sad. But you know, the thing with artists and sad experiences is they're always able to turn it into something beautiful. Next album I want to talk about is The Execution of All Things by Rilo Kiley. But honestly, more just want to talk about Rilo Kiley in general. So I got into them more at the beginning of last year because I was going to see them at Kilby Block Party, and I'd listened to some of their music before, but I'm noticing a pattern here. I was never a really devoted fan of theirs until I started listening to more of their music so that I could kind of like be prepared when I saw them in person. Every single album of theirs is good. I think The Execution of All Things is just, I mean, it was in my Spotify Wrapped, so I must have played it a lot. I think it was like my third most played album overall. I love Jenny Lewis's writing. I love the early 2000s alt-rock sound of their music, and I love Jenny Lewis's voice. That's one thing. Her voice, it's like soothing. The next album / artist I want to mention is, I don't even have an album written here. I just have Amyl and the Sniffers. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Amyl and the Sniffers. Yeah. Anyways, they're an Australian punk band who are just wild. I love them. I think I had just heard Hurts, which is like their most popular song because Spotify put it on one of my playlists, and then I went and listened to the rest of their music, and it's just it's loud, it's noisy, it's energetic, it's great. I don't even know what else to say. And I had the pleasure of seeing them at Coachella this year. And she was, I mean, the whole band, their energy was, they were one of my favorite acts of the whole weekend. Their energy was crazy. She's such a great front woman. I miss them, I really do. The last album I want to talk about is West End Girl by Lily Allen. It's so good. It's so good. It's literally like a play or a musical in an album format. The way she storytells, the way she's just so witty but so introspective, and her writing is so unique to her. It's so straightforward. It's so straightforward, but still so poetic. I don't know, guys. It's really, really good. And some songs are more of a retelling of conversations. Some songs are kind of just her intrusive thoughts. It's amazing what she did. And obviously another really bad and sad situation that she was able to turn into really beautiful art. Next, I want to talk about books. I have 5 books here that I want to mention that were my favorites of 2025. I will say that last year wasn't really a good year of reads for me. I was looking back at all the books I read, and there were a lot that were 3 stars and below, which is not great. And I think that's why I only read 18, even though the year before I read 26. And since I read 26 in 2024, my goal for 2025 was to read 30, and I only read 18. Not that that's a small amount of books, but I think I was in a bit of a slump for a lot of the year. But these books, not included in that. These books were my saving grace. I'm going to start with this book, which was the last one that I finished. It kind of probably shouldn't even technically qualify. It qualifies. I started in 2025 and finished it like a week ago in 2026. But it is God of the Woods by Liz Moore, and this is kind of a mystery thriller about kids that go missing at a camp in a really rich, really shady family. And that's all I want to say about that. That's all I want to say about that. It's pretty thick, but it's really, like I said, last year I was really slow at reading. I think I was in a bit of a slump for most of the year, but every time I picked this book up, I would read a lot of it. Admittedly, it would take me a little while to pick it up again. Once I did, every single time I picked it up, I remembered how good it was, and I would read a lot of it. So it's really, I would say it's a page turner, and the writing's really beautiful, and the mystery's good. I recommend. The next book I want to talk about is I'm a Fan by Sheena Patel. This is a book I read really early in 2025. I decided to read this in a bit of a different way that I normally decide to read books. Normally I'm just on Goodreads. I see what my friends like and what they read, and I kind of just I have a lot of books in my want to read, and I just pick from that. But one weekend early last year, my friends and I just went to different bookshops, and I wanted to just pick out a cover that stood out to me and buy the book and read it, and so that's what I did. And I read the blurb, of course. I wasn't gonna pick out a book that just I had no interest in reading, but obviously this neon green stood out to me, and so I picked up the book and I read the blurb and I bought it. Basically, this is about a woman who's in kind of like a situationship, I guess you could say, with this man who is also dating a woman who's kind of like a social influencer. It gives the impression that this woman, she's from a wealthy family, so she's kind of like a social influencer, nepo baby type. And so our protagonist becomes a little bit obsessed with her, and she uses social to basically stalk her, and kind of, it's kind of deep diving into her psyche and how she's kind of losing it over the situationship, and how the man that she wants to actually date is still dating this other really beautiful, really rich, really insta famous woman. So yeah, that's why it's called I'm a Fan. And it's really, really good. It's pretty short too, and it's I recommend it. I think it definitely is pretty realistic with how a lot of people use social media in relation to relationships in this day and age. We've all stalked someone that we shouldn't stalk. We all stalk them. We probably haven't gone as far as this girlie right here, but you know, I'm sure you've thought about it. Next book I want to talk about is Fourth Wing. Fourth Wing. I have a hard time with this because this had me in a chokehold. It reminded me of being in my tweens, teens, finding a book that I was like, finding a book that I couldn't stop reading. Like when I found The Hunger Games or Divergent, like every other tween that read that book series back in the day and like was so engrossed by it. Like that, when I was reading this, I felt like I was back to being 12-year-old me, because I literally could not put this book down. I would think about it all day. I was so happy I was finally able to find that feeling again. It felt so good. And it's thick, right? Like it's thick, but I had no problem getting through this. And I still will say it's one of my favorite books of 2025. The problem is, the second book, Iron Flame, it took me months to get through that book. Months. It was just, it didn't grip me. I thought it was kind of boring. I thought it was too long. I thought there were a lot of scenes that could be cut out. Like a lot of times I'd be reading, I'm like, why am I reading this right now? Like what does this add to the book? And God, it took me so long to read that I finally just had to give up trying to read it physically, and I had to listen to it on audiobook to get through it. And so I don't even know if I would recommend this book series to people, because the second book is not nearly as good as the first one. So like, I know like if I recommend this book to people, then they're gonna want to read the second one, but I don't want to put them through that. So that's why I'm torn. But maybe it's just a me thing. Like I know people that have gotten through the series and liked it. I don't think anyone likes the second book as much as the first one, but they've been able to get through it like no problem. And then the third book, oh my god. Yeah, okay. So I got through the second book. Painstakingly got through the second book. It left on a bit of a cliffhanger, as these YA romantasy novels do. And so I thought I would give the third book a chance. I didn't even try buying it this time. I'm like, this is gonna be strictly audiobook time for me. I started listening to it. I got through the first few chapters and I was like, I can't. I gave up. So Fourth Wing, obviously do recommend. The sequels, I don't know about them. The next book I want to talk about is The Happy Couple by this Irish author whose name I don't know how to pronounce. Naoise? Dolan? Let me. Nisha.
Let's practice together.
Nisha, okay. The Happy Couple by Naoise Dolan. I really like this author. I don't know what it is about Irish authors. Her, Sally Rooney, like, I don't know what's in the water in Ireland, but y'all produce some really good writers. She has another book called Exciting Times that I really like as well. But yeah, the Happy Couple is about a couple who, they're getting married and they should not be getting married. And the book basically just goes into their relationship, how they ended up where they are, why they're getting married. It also has chapters in the POVs of the people close to them. So the best man, the bride's sister, and their views on the relationship, but also like what's going on in their lives, and like it's a bunch of intermingling stories. It's very lit ficky, I will say. It's kind of the definition of no plot, just vibes, but I personally really like that. I can get down with that because I just think it's very interesting. There are very interesting takeaways in just like human behavior and why people act the way they do and why people act with other people the way they do in relationships and etc, etc, etc. But I don't know, I really love this. It's really short, it's really easy to get through. Yeah, I just thought it was an interesting read. And also there's a really good quote. There were a lot of great quotes in here, but there's this one about talent that I wanted to share because I just think it was such an interesting way to write about it, and I've never seen the concept of talent written this way before. The bride, Celine, is a really talented pianist. She's a concert pianist. She spends all of her time playing piano. She's very, very passionate about it. And so her groom, Luke, is talking to her about how talented she is. And he says, "You can't tell me anyone can do that." And she says, "If they go through the stages." And then he says, "You go through the stages by having talent." She says, "No, you go through the stages by going through the stages." She says, "I didn't say it was easy. I said anyone can do it. It's not easy to count to 1,000,000, but you can." He says, "Is piano really that tedious?" She says, "Sometimes, but I love it even when I hate it." And then he says, "Honestly, that's what I mean by talent. Everyone wants applause, but not everyone wants the process from start to end. I reckon I define talent as having some element inside you that you didn't put there yourself. And you can't just decide to love piano, so by talent I mean, yeah, love." And I thought this was really interesting as someone like me who's always felt drawn to the arts. Obviously here on this channel you can see I play guitar and I sing, and I don't come from an artistic family. No one in my family sings or plays any instrument or whatever, and for a long time I was scared or like hesitant to even try because I'm like, I don't know if I have the singing gene. I don't know if I'll be good at this and this and that, and I don't know if I have the natural talent, you know? And I mean, first of all, everyone's bad until they're good, okay? No one is automatically good at anything. Could some people have certain advantages naturally? I think, yeah, probably. But for the most part, the people that we look at and see that they're so good at their craft, like Beyonce or any athlete or any actor, put in so many hours behind the scenes to be good at their craft, and they're able to do that because they love what they do. And so maybe that love of their craft is the actual talent because it's what's allowing them to put in the work to be great. Yeah, I just thought that was a really interesting way of talking about talent because I think that is definitely more of what I relate to, and there are a lot of really great observations about a ton of different concepts in this book. So yeah, I recommend. The last book that I want to talk about, Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. Oh my god. This is another book, I will say, that brought me back to my tween self. Just so taken in by a book that I couldn't stop reading it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Oh my god. Now I understand how Suzanne Collins just like gripped a generation of children and still has our attention well into our 20s, okay? She is such a great writer, and the stories are the story is so good. It's really sad, I will say, though. Sorry, I didn't even say what the plot was about. Sunrise on the Reaping is about Haymitch's game. So Haymitch, he was Katniss and Peeta's mentor in their Hunger Games, and this is a prequel about his Hunger Games. And I mean, as we all know, in the Hunger Games, we see that Haymitch is a drunk. Everyone's kind of like writes him off because he's not always there. And I mean, this kind of just, he wasn't always like that, obviously. So in this book, he's 16, and it kind of just explains his journey and why he is the way he is, or why he ends up the way he does. And God, I was watching UnCarly, her 2025 book rankings, and she mentioned this book, and One thing she said that I really agree with is that Suzanne Collins never talks down to her readers. Even though this is technically a YA series, the themes are very complex, the writing is very mature, everything about it is just, it's just so good. I don't even know what else to say about it. It's just so good. Now I want to talk about film and TV shows that I loved last year. The first movie I want to talk about is The Last Showgirl, and I forgot I even watched this last year because I think I watched it in like February, like it was very, very early in the year. But I remember being so moved by it. It was such a beautiful, it was a beautiful, really simple film. I think it was like 90 minutes full stop, or a little bit under 90 minutes. Like it was short and it was sweet and it was beautiful. It's about a showgirl played by Pam Anderson, and that casting is perfect. And she is, you know, she's a showgirl that's later in life and her show is about to get shut down, and it's basically just about aging and beauty and things you will give up to feel beautiful and powerful, and it's great. Go watch it. Go watch it. The next thing I want to talk about is a TV show called I Love L.A. Duh! That show was so good. I never doubted Rachel's in it. I never did. I think some people were a little bit confused on what the show is supposed to be. From what I gathered, it's kind of more supposed to be about exaggerated caricatures of shitty people you meet in LA. They're bad people, okay? I know a lot of people compare it to Girls, where it's kind of just like you hate all of them, and it definitely is along those lines, but I don't know. I love the humor in it. It's very much of our generation, and I love the little bits of like niche LA humor they put in it, and I'm just so excited for a season 2. I'm so excited. I can't believe I have to wait for them to film it all and edit it, and like I'm like on the edge of my seat already. The next film I want to talk about is Oh Hi, starring Molly Gordon and Logan Lerman. Yup. That movie did not get as much recognition as I thought it would and as I thought it deserved. It was so funny. It was so funny. The movie is about a couple, or should I just say a boy and a girl, Molly and Logan, who are going on this really romantic getaway. And they're doing all of these coupley things, like they're making dinner. It's a couple's getaway, right? And it's beautiful, and they're having the time of their life. And then Molly's character says something along the lines of like, I'm so glad we're together, or like something like, I'm so glad that you're my boyfriend, something like that. Also, this is all in the trailer. This is not spoilers. And after she says that, Logan's character says, we're not together. She says, what? He says, yeah, I kind of just don't really want to be in a relationship right now. Chaos ensues. Chaos ensues. She goes a little crazy, understandably, and it's so funny. And it's obviously an exaggeration, but I think it's a really good depiction of how frustrating and confusing dating culture of this generation can be, because they were obviously very, or like to the outside and obviously to her, very much a couple. Okay, they're together doing all of these things. Yeah, he's like, I don't want to be in a relationship, and that can obviously mess with a person. And so this movie kind of just goes kind of just follows our girl as she goes a little crazy, and it's really funny, and it's a great watch. You should watch it. The last show I want to talk about. You know what I'm gonna say. You know what I'm gonna say. It's taken over all of our minds. It's taken over all of our minds. It's the best thing that's happened to me, and to a lot of us, I think, in a while. And that is Heated Rivalry. Heated Rivalry. Okay? Again, I'm not even really sure if it should count for this video, because I technically watched it on day 1 of 2026. I was with my friends and we were like, what should we do on this beautiful first day of the year? We should sit on the couch and watch all of heated Rivalry, which we did. We took 2 breaks, one to nap and one to get dinner. And then we brought it back, we sat back on the couch, and we ate our dinner in front of the TV. It is a little frisky, obviously. Obviously, that's what people like to talk about. But as I love to say, it's not just about the sex, okay? It's not just about the frisk. It's about beautiful love stories, okay? Alright, okay. But it is frisky. So if you're not into that, I guess maybe you shouldn't watch it. But I think the show's beautiful. And it oh my god, I love it so much. I love it so. I need to rewatch it. I can't believe I've only watched it once. To be fair, I have it's only been about 2 weeks since I watched it for the first time. So I don't know. Maybe I'll start the rewatch soon. But yeah, it really grips you. I was hesitant to watch it because I'm just like, I don't know. And I will say, I'm so glad that HBO took these shows seriously, because I feel like with something like that that's based off of a book, it obviously probably has a lot of smut in it. I feel like with something like that, they could take it and make it really cheesy and make it very unserious, but HBO did their big one. Like, this show was beautiful, beautifully shot, beautifully acted. Like, it's so good. Watch it. The last thing I want to talk about is fitness. So I kind of just wanted to reflect on the journey I've been on in the past year, because I did kind of set some new goals for myself, and that kind of led me to places where I never thought I could be, and do things that I never thought I could do. So basically, I set a new fitness goal for myself. I knew I wanted to get a concrete workout schedule, which I've never been able to do before in my life. I've always kind of just floated around. I've had phases at a lot of different types of workout classes. Like, I had a soul cycle phase, I had a solid core phase, I obviously, like everyone and their mother, had a Pilates phase, a Pilates reformer phase, but I've never been able to get a concrete set plan that worked for me and my goals. But last year I wanted to have a concrete plan, days of the week where I can go to the gym, go to a class, whatever, and I wanted to tone up. Basically, I wanted to gain muscle. I wanted to, yeah, basically just like look more toned. I was trying to research the best way to do this, and basically came to the conclusion that I wanted to incorporate cardio and strength training into my routine. I wanted to try classes such as Orangetheory and Barry's Bootcamp. And I've always been so scared of these classes because I've never been a good runner, A, and B, I've never tried strength training before. Like, I didn't know anything about it. So I literally was so terrified. Basically, for people that don't know what these classes are, they both are a combination of running and weightlifting, like I said. So you will go from, for Orangetheory, you can take a 2G class or a 3G class. The 3G class includes treadmills, rowing, and floor. The 2G is just floor and treadmills. And for Barry's Bootcamp, there are only 2 stations, floor and treadmills. I personally like the structure of Barry's a little bit more, because depending on where you start, you go from, if you start on treads, you go from tread, floor, and it's so fast paced. It's like you don't have a second to get bored, which makes the class go by so fast. And like I said, it's dark. Their whole thing is working out in the red room. It's dark and there are like red lights and the music's loud. It's just, it's a bit crazy, but it really does make the workout go by really, really fast. I think it's one of the best workouts you can do, a combination of cardio and strength training. I personally like strength training, who knew? But I personally like it. It just makes me feel strong. It's not like I'm lifting 40-pound weights. My heavy weights are like 15 pounds. But that's heavy for me. And like, that's all that matters. You go at your own pace. Like, that's another thing, is like, do not try to overdo it. Like, you don't need to. Like I said, 15 pounds is heavy for me, so I'm still getting the workout in using 15 pounds, even if someone is doing the same workout using 40 pounds. You know what I mean? I took a couple of Orangetheory classes before I ventured into Barry's, because basically Barry's is kind of just the louder, darker, more fast-paced a little bit bougier version of Orangetheory. So it definitely does take the workout up a notch. So I did do a few Orangetheory classes before I tried berries, and surprisingly, I loved it. Obviously the goal is to find a workout that you enjoy, that is sustainable, and that is conducive to your goals. And I've always been scared of doing these types of classes, and I've always been like, I'm never gonna do Orangetheory, I'm never gonna do this and this and that. And then I did it and I loved it, and I've been at it for like the past few months, and I think this is something that's gonna last through the foreseeable future, honestly. All that to say, what I've learned and what I wanted to reflect on is to never underestimate yourself and to never say never. Just like, you don't know what you can do until you do it, and sure, you might not be good at it the first few times, but literally who cares? Everyone's there to get better. No one's gonna judge you. Also, no one's gonna judge you. I feel like that's a fear for a lot of people, is that people are gonna look at them and be like, you're not running fast enough, you're not running fast enough, you're not lifting heavy enough. No one cares. Everyone's working out for themselves. Everyone's taking time out of their schedule. Everyone's paid to be there for themselves. Also, another thing that I am surprisingly really into right now is just like running on a treadmill, because the days are still kind of short here. I can't really go outside and do it. So I've been trying to improve my stamina. Stamina's never been something I've had a lot of. I've never been fast. I've never had a lot of stamina. And also I've been researching how to get better and blah, 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 blah. What I realized is I was kind of always running too fast. Like, I would always just like take off, and like I was just skipping a bunch of steps. You need to start really, really slow and build stamina that way, and then add the speed later on. And so I've been trying to run longer and longer distances. Right now I'm at like 2 miles, which relatively for long distance runners is not very long distance, but for me, girl, like, oh my god, to be able to run 2 miles and not be dead at the end of it, crazy. I'm just gonna keep going until I don't even really have a specific goal in mind, because I'm not really trying to like run a marathon. I mean, as I've said, never say never, but I'm just not really interested in that at the moment. But I don't really know why I would. I guess like 5 miles. I feel like 5 miles can be my goal. 5 miles would be pretty cool. So yeah, I don't know, it feels really good to do something you never thought that you could do. So those are some of my 2025 favorites. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys found some inspiration of movies you might want to watch, or books you might want to read, music you might want to listen to, and tell me some of your favorite books, movies, TV shows of 2025 down below. I'd love to hear them and maybe try them out myself. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!